Good afternoon from the northwest of England. Hello and a very, very happy new year to you all. I hope you're all doing really, really well. Gosh, what a whirlwind, Christmas and New Year. Crikey. I hope you've all had a really lovely Christmas, nice and peaceful with your family and your friends if possible. And, however you celebrate, I hope you had a good time. Very, very busy for us. We had 10 for Christmas dinner and all my children all at once were here. Wonderful. So I had a really nice time. Anyway, so let's get into it. It's a beautiful day here in the northwest of England and the sun is shining, but it's bitterly, well, saying bitterly cold, I suppose as people in various other parts of the world, bitterly cold is -1 for us. Not bitterly cold. Anyway, so I thought we'd make some bangles today. Now these squiggly, beautiful squiggly bangles, I'll tell you a little bit of a story. When I first started learning how to wire bend, I came across these gorgeous bangles from a tutorial by Making It Easy with Liz. Obviously credit to her, and I made these on the very, very first sort of step of my beautiful wire working journey, and I wear these all the time. Now obviously this is somebody else's tutorial, so I'll pop the link to these in the description, but I thought, how can I make them, how can I samify them? So I thought I would make them slightly thinner wire, make them slightly a little bit more delicate. These are gorgeous, but they're made with 16 gauge. I'm using slightly thinner wire here, and I've made them into a bangle that you can easily, take on and off. So if you have trouble putting things, over your hands, some people do, some people don't. I thought that these guys would be a little bit easier with a clasp on. So I'm going to show you my version. So thank you, Liz, for these beauties. I'm just going to samify them, if that's all right with you. So we'll have a look at how to make these, all right? So I'll just take you through a list of materials. You don't need an awful lot. You're going to need some 1.5 millimeter. I think that's 14 gauge, 14 or 15 gauge. I think I'll double check everything and pop it in the description box. You're also going to need some 20 gauge, 0.8. I'm using bare copper wire. Now you can choose to put a patina on these if you want. I love the look of raw copper these days, so I'm keeping mine as is. And you're just going to need some 16 gauge for the clasp. Okay, you will need, if you want, there's two ways of doing this. So you can use the bangle loops themselves to use the clasp, or you can put jump rings on. I suppose if you're making them for yourself, you could do it this way. If you're making them to sell or to gift, then obviously pop some jump rings on, because you don't know what the size of other people are, do you? So you're going to need some jump rings. So a couple of jump rings. I've made mine out of 16 gauge because it makes them a little bit more sturdy. So apart from that, you're going to need some cutters, obviously, for obvious reasons. You're going to need some chain nose pliers. Just get out your favourite pairs. You're going to need some nylon jaw pliers, or indeed some flat nose pliers if you don't have nylon jaw. These will be fine because we are going to be doing a bit of bashing. You're going to need some pliers, some round pliers. I use my 6-step, so welcome to use your round nose if that's what you like. You're going to need a hammer, really, really, really cheap, affordable chasing hammer. Oh, where is it gone? There it is. Oh. You're going to need a bangle mandrel, so I suggest you use either a stainless steel one or a wooden one. I use this stainless one. It wasn't very expensive at all to make the shape of your bangle. And what else, Sammy? Just a ruler, because I'm going to give you some lengths of wire, okay? Oh, and a piece of paper. Piece of paper, and I'll tell you what that's for in a second. Okay, so let's get going, and we'll have a look at this gorgeous squiggly bangle. And we are back. So, piece of paper. Oh, look at my lovely springy ice cream colour cardigan. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, I like to look forward to the spring when, as soon as Christmas and New Year is done, I like to look forward. So, piece of paper. You can use a piece of string, you can use whatever you like really, but I think a piece of paper is handy. So just rip off a piece of paper. This is just to measure your wrist. actually, because these bangles here, they have about 1.5 inches in between the let's have a look, about what, some 3.5 centimeters, which is about 1.5 inches, something like that. So what I do is pop the paper, and you just want to make it like bangle shaped, leaving yourself a little bit of room for maneuver like this. It's really just to sort of have a look and see, you know, what kind of length of wire that you need to play with for a bangle. So that's about right for me, I think. I work in centimeters. I think for this one it was 15 centimeters, so 6 inches. And then you need 1 centimeter on either side, so 1 centimeter is 3/4 inch. All right, so work that out for yourself. So if you're using six inches, 3/4 inch, you're going to need 7.25, because we're going to be making some loops on either side. All right, so 15 centimeters for me, plus 2 centimeters, that's 17. I hope all that makes sense. If it doesn't, just do what you want. You do you. You do you. So let's just flush cut the end as always. And I'm going to measure out approximately 17 centimeters for me, which is about there. Snip, lovely. Okay, so that's the core of the bracelet. Okay, now then, I'm going to be using the second step on my plier to make these loops on either side here. So all I do, second step, make 2 loops, one on either side. Don't worry about these too much, because we are going to be doing a bit of bashing and toing and froing. Yeah. So make 2 lovely little neat loops, smashing. So this is what you should have. So let's have a look. Yeah, not too bad. Let's have a look. Yeah, so that makes about 15 centimeters. So that worked out right for me. Okay, so that's the core. Right then, so we need to now come in with our 20 gauge, which is 0.8, and you're going to need 2 lengths of this. Now I did try this by using 2 lengths together on this one, but I found the effect better if you use them separately, so I'll show you what I mean now. So what you're going to need is to cut yourself 2 pieces. Just get rid of that bit because that's not so good. 2 pieces of wire, and I'm going to suggest about 25 inches long. So each one approximately 25 inches. So I'll just cut that off camera, because that's quite a long piece of wire, isn't it? And when you're doing these long pieces of wire, obviously just watch your eyes, because don't do what I did and it sprung back and nearly poked me in the eye. So eyes are precious. Make sure you protect them at all costs. All right, so we have our 2 pieces of wire. We'll just get that out of the way for now. Right, brilliant. So we've got our core and we've got our 2 pieces of wire. So just put one to one side for now. Get that out of the way. So the first thing we need to do is to just wind a little section around the end like this, just to secure it like that. And then if you want to, just snip that off just a little bit so it's not poking you in the fingers. Righty-ho, here we go. So what you do basically is, how I've done it, is just wiggly and squiggly and arbitrarily just wind this wire around the base wire like this. So, you know, no rhyme or reason, just absolutely just squiggle things around, push that down. It doesn't matter, there's no sort of absolute way of doing this. It's just one of those wonderful projects where you can just do what you want, squish things around as much as you want. Now the tighter you make these loops, the tighter the effect. Okay, so you really need to be bringing them out a little bit, I think. Yeah, that's quite tightly done, whereas this part isn't. So you'll know what I mean when you start giving it a go yourself. Just pop that round and then I'm going to just hook that underneath. Now obviously this project is using relatively thicker wire, so if you do have arthritic hands you may struggle a little, but give it a go, see how you get on. So here we go. So just wrap that around, rounds and abouts. Doesn't really matter. Meantime, whilst we're doing this, let me know in the comments what you got for Christmas and if you had a really good time. I had all my kids, which for the first time, you know, in a long time actually, because 2 of them live away from home. So it was nice to have all my children together, and my grandson, which was also lovely because we don't get to see him too often. So as you can see here, I am just wrapping, winding, making loops, wrapping over, you know, doesn't matter what you do because we're going to go over this twice. So this is the first time, just going backwards and forwards, rounds and abouts, you know. Let's go back under and make a wire loop underneath. Yeah, so, you know, round and about. I love this kind of project, and obviously the inspiration came from the little bangle that I showed you in the first part of the video. So it's nice to just do things that aren't too involved, and you can just sort of have a happy time, not being too precise, which is lovely. I mean, I do like precise, don't get me wrong, but it's nice to not be precise. So as you can see here, I am literally just making coils and wraps and around, round and around. Yeah, so just keep going however you like. Keep going, keep going. I love this time of year, certainly when Christmas is over, because when you get into New Year and you start thinking about new plans and holidays and vacations, as you call them in the States, don't you? And you know, new life, that kind of thing. It's nice to see the gardens start to recover in the springtime. I know we've still got a bit of winter to go yet, but it's nice to think forward and have a think about things. Have you made any New Year's resolutions? My only resolution this year is to lose another 14-15 pounds, and then I will be at my goal weight, so that I will be, you know, at least as healthy as I can be. So that's the only thing that I really want to do this year, is to just spend the next sort of 12 months losing the last 15 or so pounds that I need to lose to be, you know, a decently healthy weight. So I've not done too badly over Christmas. I've not put a huge amount of weight on, which is good. Right, so we're getting towards the end. And we'll just keep wrapping, keep making loops until we get to the end. Now obviously as you're getting towards the end, the wire has been worked a little bit, so it gets a little harder to work with. You know, just do your best. And then wrap that little bit around there. There we go. And then you can just chop that little end off. There we go. So that's our first way round. All right, so as you can see, we've got some bits sticking out, some bits not sticking out. Don't worry about it. In fact, the more sort of chaotic this looks at this stage, the better, I think. Okay, so there we go. So what we need to do now is to do the same thing again, but starting at the other end. So we come with our other piece of wire and just wrap it over the top of the other bits that you had, and then just do the same thing, but going in the different direction. So you're literally going over the top of what you've just done. So it gives you the opportunity to put a loop in a space where there was not previously a loop. Yeah, does that make sense? Just get rid of that bit there so I'm not hurting myself. So here there wasn't a loop, so I'm going to put a little loop in there, and then back round, cross over if you have to, put a little loop in here. There we go. So can you see how we're doubling up? Going over the top, put another little loop in there. So this second pass around gives you the chance to sort of fill in some gaps if you have some. If you don't, that's okay. Pop that around there, put a loop in here. See? So just keep going around. I think we'll put a loop in here. I hope this is coming across on the camera okay. And every now and again you need to wrap around the base wire so that you anchor everything down. Yeah? There we go. So I'll put one in the back here. I hope you enjoy making this. I've got so many things planned for the new year. You will see another set of hands very soon actually, because I'm getting my mum on board with a couple of videos that I'm making with for people with arthritis, some jewellery that would be good for people with arthritic hands, both to make and to wear. So my mum, as you will find out when you meet her hands, she doesn't want to be on camera certainly, but that's fine, but you'll certainly see her hands, and she does have arthritic hands. So I'm test driving some designs on her because, you know, I thought it would be good for those of us who do have a little bit of arthritis. So stand by for those. So I hope they'll be well received, I hope. This is a good opportunity for you to listen to me ramble as well. So if you don't like my talking, that's absolutely fine. You can mute. But, you know, whilst I'm doing this, I suppose it's difficult to think of things to talk about whilst you're watching somebody wiggle and squiggle with wire. So as you can see here, I am coming towards the end. Towards the end, put some more loops in, wind that round. We'll have a loop in here. A little tough on the fingers, but wear gloves if you want actually, and I think you can get protective gloves, can't you, actually, for this kind of thing. Wind that around. We are nearly there. So shall I put another one there, or shall I leave it at that? I think I will leave it at that. So just wind that round a couple of times and then just take off the excess. There's only a little bit left there, but you could straighten that out and use it for ear wires actually, because it's 20 gauge, isn't it? Right, so we have done our squiggles and our wiggles. So I'm just going to squidge those down, those little ends, on either side, just to make sure that everything's nice and secure and not hurty. We don't want it to be hurty. And there we are. So there's our base. So we have literally a stick, a wiggly stick. Okay. Next thing we need to do is to come in with your nylon jaw pliers if you have some. If you don't, then flat pliers would be okay. You don't have to worry too much about marring the wire at this stage because we are going to be bashing it in a minute, but I'm just going to use some nylon jaw and just go along and just give it a little bit of a tweak and a bit of a flatten to start with. Just I've found when I was making these that if you do it at this stage, the hammering is a little bit easier, yeah? So, and then it also gives you the chance, if you're not keen on something, just to come in, give it a bit of a squish down, you know, that kind of thing. Just gives you the chance to have a look at your wiggly stick, because that's essentially what this is. And if you're happy with everything, then we go on to the next stage, which is the fun part. If you watched me long enough, you'll know that I do like to do a bit of bashing. It's really, really good for the soul. So I'm going to change the angle of the camera around because I do the bashing on my knee, and I'll just show you the next stage. Okay, so there is our slightly flattened stick with the squiggles. Okay, so I'll come back to you in a second when I have sorted out the camera angle, and we'll have a look at what to do next. So I'll see you in a few. And we are back, and you can see my beautiful colourful rug, which I love, which is in my my craft space. So let's get going on this. So I've got my mandrel here, and as you can see, it is an oval shaped. You can, you know, use your round mandrel if you want, and then bend it into an oval. You don't need all of the fancy equipment, so if you only have a circular one, it's fine. I'm just choosing to use this because I've got one. Right, so when you look at the oval mandrel, obviously place your stick underneath, and you want to bend it around gently, finding the sweet spot where you've got that 1.5 inches or so of space. Can you see there? So that's the bit I'm going to be bashing around about this area here. All right, so, and as you can see, I've bent it into some sort of shape already. So pop that on here, find that sweet spot, which is about, if you wanted to mark it, you can do. And all I'm going to do now is to very, very gently take my hammer and just give it a light tap at this stage. So giving it a light tap will just start to set the squiggles in place. So as you're moving it around, you know, move it around with the oval shape. But again, it doesn't matter. You can bend it into shape, you know, after the fact if you wanted to. Still keeping that spot there, and be aware of the fact, obviously, that when you start to be bashing your wire expands a little bit and the oval will expand. So the thing about doing this is that wire is really, really forgiving. So just do it gently to start with, and as you can see here, we'd started to get a little bit of shape. Okay, pop it back on your mandrel, and then just start to bash it just a little bit harder. Not too hard, obviously, but hard enough to work hard in it, which gives it some stability and some spring. And watch your fingers, obviously. So I've got a bit that's sticking out here. Now that doesn't bother me in the slightest because these are, you know, squiggly and arbitrary. If you wanted to sort that out, all you'd do is just come in with a pair of pliers and then just, you know, just sort of work things around a little bit, pull things in a little bit, you know, as you like. Depends on, you know, how can you see how that's gone in? Just depends on how you want it to look. Doesn't bother me. Not a nice sound, is it, when you're listening to it on camera? Okay, so as you can see here, we have now got some shape forming. Yeah, so this is our bangle. So you just carry on and do that lightly, you know, just until you don't want to bash it too much because the metal gets brittle, all right? So when you've been working it for a while, unless you've got all the wonderful equipment like the torches and you can anneal your wire and that kind of thing. But if you're just like me, and you're just using a bit of wire and you don't want it to go awry, you know, just finish about here. I mean, it's, you know, it's got some spring to it, and we're going to be putting a clasp on in a second anyway. All right, so continue doing that and I'll see you back at the table. Right, my friends, we're back at the table, and here we have our lovely little bangle, and this is what it should look like. Nice and squiggly and fun, and yeah, I like that. Not keen on that little bit there, but that's better. There we go. So it should have this nice shape. Like I say, you can bend it into an oval with your hands. Actually, great tools. All right, so this is what we've got. So if you wanted to, in actual fact, you could just use it as a bangle on your wrist without actually putting any clasp on. But for me, I think bangles are good with clasps. All right, so I'm just going to show you how to make a really simple S clasp. All right, so I'm going to be using 1.25 16 gauge wire, and just give it a bit of a pull, just straighten it out. Flush cut the ends. 6 centimeters I take for mine, so just measure 6 centimeters, which is just over 2¼ inches. So what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sixteenths. Yeah, 2 6/16. Inches I find difficult when measuring small, but I'm not used to them. I'm used to centimeters. So anyway, 6 centimeters. And then I'm going to just grab my plier, turn the ends over, and just give them a squidge here and a flatten. And then in the opposite direction, do the same thing. Over like so, and then squidge that down and give it a flatten. All right, so you should have something that looks like this with a little loop on opposite directions. Yeah, and then I'll take my 6-step pliers, and I'm going to use the 4th step on my plier, which is 2, 3, 4, 5 millimeter mandrel. Okay, so with the little loop oh, excuse me, facing you, away from you, just bend, and then do the same in the opposite direction. Just bend it around. Simple S clasp. I do have a video on clasps, which I'll put in the description box, so if you wanted to have a look, you can do. I'm going to give this a little bit of a bash off camera because we've done enough bashing, but you'll need your little, where is it? Oops, you'll need your little bench block. Just give it a bit of a bash, so I'll come back in a second. So here is my little clasp, and I just thought I would save you from all of the hammering and bashing sounds, seeing as we've done enough. So let's come in with our little jump rings. Okay, so jump ring, where's my other plier? There you are. Jump ring open. Obviously just pop through the little loops. Like I say, I mean, you can patina these and put a beautiful patina on if you like. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Depends on how I feel. I did with the original ones. Now, the original ones were, the demonstration was given by Liz 10 years ago, would you believe? So, gosh, it's probably not that long ago since, gosh, probably 10 years, since 9 years maybe since I made those. Anyway, so pop your little and squeeze one side so that it's closed if you want to, and then all you do is when you put it on, it's got a bit of a spring to it, so when you put it on, it's got a bit of a spring. Yeah, so that's our bangle made. That's my version, so I hope you enjoy making these. I think they're really, really cute, and I love the idea that if you you know, if you can't get you know, bangles over your hands for whatever reason, you know, sometimes they are a little bit difficult to get over your hands, you can actually make one where it's easier to get on and off. Okay, enjoy making those, and I will see you in my next video, and I hope you're having a wonderful new year. Bye.